guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another book review video. I love filming these. I know there's only just a few hundred of you who watch these videos, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep filming them because I love to talk about books. Now I'm doing the setup a little bit differently. Normally I'm over there at my desk and I have my light and all that over there, and I'm trying to look at my laptop, but I like this background better. So I'm gonna be looking over here. I just got done filming a favorites video, so I have a lot of stuff around me, but I have a chair right here, I have a basket, and I have my iPad propped up on there. So I'll be glancing over here because y'all know this girl has a bad memory, so I need to be able to look over here to look at my notes and all of that. So we are going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of January. Also, for those of you who did not know, I do have a Facebook book club group, so come over there and join us. If you'd like to join, there'll always be a link down below in all of my videos. Okay, so for the month of January, I read 8 books, like full regular size books, and 2 novellas. I'm gonna wait though to talk about the novellas until February because they're part of a 6-part series on Kindle Unlimited. It's like a meet cute romance series, and the books are only like about 100 pages long or so. I've only read 2, so that's what those ones have been. So I thought I would rate them and talk about them as a series versus talking about 2 of them this month and then the other 4 next month, because I do plan on reading the other 4 next month. So we're just going to talk about the 8 regular novels that I read in the month of January. As usual, I always read them. I always talk about them in the order that I read them, not in the order that I like them. Also, I'm going to give you the Goodreads rating at the time of filming this video. I always go to look up the latest Goodreads rating because you never know what they're going to be, because as people rate them daily and when people are reading books, then that rating does change. So just know, as of today, February 3rd, this is what the rating was, and then I'll also give you my rating. I'm not going to give any spoilers in this video. It's just going to be I'll read you the synopsis of the book, and that's just going to be my thoughts on the book, and I'll just be very brief. I'm not going to give a lot away. I'll tell you whether or not I recommend it, not recommend it, what I thought about the author, those kind of things. I read exclusively ebooks, but I do audiobooks once in a while. One of these was an audiobook that yes, it was, 100% audiobook. It's funny, it's because my husband also was listening to some of the audiobook at the same time. When he would hear it as I was, if I had it out loud. Usually I had my headphones in, but if I had it out loud, and I'll tell you when we get to that one, I'll tell you about it. It was kind of funny. He does not read, just so you know, my husband does not read, so it's funny for him to get kind of interested in it. But I do exclusively ebooks. I find my books, I always have people ask, I find my books at my local library through the Libby app, also on Amazon Books, which you can get them there. Kindle Unlimited, I'm part of that, which is a subscription program through Amazon. I also, the Amazon First Reads program, you can get free books through there, or the Amazon Prime Reading. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can get free books through Amazon for that. Also, I will purchase books once in a while, but I honestly don't like to spend more than like $3.99, $4.99 if it's a book that sounds just super good, or an author that I like to purchase, then I will purchase the books as well. But I just normally will not pay over $3.99, but I have been known to do it for some of my authors that are just auto buy, and I know I'm going to love the book. If I did find a book through Prime Reading or Kindle Unlimited, I will let you know. So that way, if you subscribe to either one of those, then you can go look for the book. I will have links to all of those services, the Amazon Prime Reading, the first books, the Kindle Unlimited. I will have links to all of those down below. I will also have links to all the books I talk about. I have links to their Goodreads page and to their Amazon page, so you can read the reviews. And that is it. Oh, these tend to be longer videos, so grab yourself a drink, a little snack, and let's talk about all the books I read in the month of January. Book number 1, Those Empty Eyes by Charlie Donnelly. My rating 4 stars, Goodreads rating 4.22. This book you can find on Kindle Unlimited. This is the first book I've read from this author, but I have seen several books of his over on Kindle Unlimited. I'll read the synopsis to you, so I'm going to kind of look over here so I can read that, and then we'll talk about my thoughts on the book Alex Armstrong has changed everything about herself. Her name, her appearance, her backstory. She's no longer the terrified teenager a rapt audience saw on television, emerging in handcuffs from the quiet suburban home the night her family was massacred. That girl, Alexandra Quinlan, nicknamed Empty Eyes by the media, was accused of the killings, fought to clear her name, and later took the stand during her highly publicized defamation lawsuit that captured the attention of the nation. It's been 10 years since, and Alex hasn't stopped searching for answers about that night her family was killed, even as she continues to hide her real identity from true crime fanatics and grasping reporters still desperate to locate her. As a legal investigator, she works tirelessly to secure justice for others. People like Matthew Claymore, who's under suspicion in the disappearance of his girlfriend, a student journalist named Laura McAllister. Laura was about to break a major story about rape and cover-ups on her college campus. Alex believes Matthew is innocent and unearths stunning revelations about the university's faculty, fraternity members, and powerful parents willing to do anything to protect their children. Most shocking of all, as Alex digs into Laura's disappearance, she realizes there are unexpected connections to the murder of her own family. For as different as the crimes may seem, they each hinge on one sinister truth: no one is quite who they seem to be. I really enjoyed this book. I thought the twists and turns were really good. I didn't feel like I did guess some, and that's one of the reasons why I gave it 4 stars. But it was just very interesting. I liked how some of the things tied together, but it almost tied together. It was weird. Like, it had such a, I don't really want to give it away, but it really did have such a unique kind of plot to it, to how all of these things connected. But it was really good. I liked the journalism aspect of it. I liked how they were investigating it. The people she teamed up with, but even her job as like a legal investigator is very interesting. It was interesting to see how much she changed. And it was a really good book. Highly recommend it. I really like this author's writing. I think I'll definitely be picking up more of his books. Like I said, I saw several over on Kindle Unlimited. So let me know if you've read any of his books. 20 Years Later is the one that I've had a few people recommend to me. So I think I may pick that one up and read that one next of his. Book number 2, Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. My rating 5 stars. Goodreads rating 4.33. This is my second Abby Jimenez book. The first one was the first one in this series. And let's go ahead and get the synopsis, and then we're going to talk about this book. Dr. Brianna Ortiz's life is seriously flatlining. Her divorce is just about finalized. Her brother's running out of time to find a kidney donor. And that promotion she wants, oh, that's probably going to a new man doctor who's already registering 87 on Brianna's pain in the ass scale. But just when all the systems are set to hate, Dr. Jacob Maddox completely flips the game by sending Brianna a letter. And it's a really good letter, like the kind that proves that Jacob isn't actually Satan. Worse, he might be his fantastically funny and subversively likable guy who's terrible at first impressions, because suddenly he and Brie are exchanging letters, sharing lunch dates in her sob closet, and discussing the merits of freakishly tiny horses. But when Jacob decides to give Brianna the best gift imaginable, a kidney for her brother, she wonders just how can she resist this quietly sexy new doctor, especially when he calls in a favor she can't refuse. So it's funny because they give a lot away in the synopsis, but it's okay. It's such a good book. So this is technically the second book of the Part of Your World series, but you can read this one without reading the other one because you just have some of the same characters. So like she was a side character in the first book, and but I do recommend both. Like I feel like I'm pretty sure I liked this one better than the other one. I'm pretty sure I gave the other one 4 stars and this one 5 stars. I still can't believe I took so long to read Abby Jimenez's book. I have always just been an Emily Henry as far as romance novels, but I will definitely be picking up another one of her books this month. I'm more than positive that I will be. Those of you that have been following me, you know that I don't read very many romances at all. And the number one reason is because I absolutely hate the miscommunication trope that happens in pretty much 90% of romance books. It just drives me crazy. I start yelling. I start yelling in my head. I start saying things out loud. It's just like, are you kidding me? No, no, no. you know, like, and if it's too much, then I don't finish the book. Like, it can't be too much. Like, I try to look for reviews. Like, romance books are one of the only books that I really go out there to look for reviews on. You guys know that most of the time I don't read reviews on books unless a book has like a 3-star rating, and then I go look at it just to see, okay, why does it have a 3-star rating when that sounds so amazing? But for romance books, I do go look to see if miscommunication is a major theme of the book, because then I won't read it. And I knew, so for one thing, I absolutely started loving this book from page 1. Loved it. And then I saw it coming. I was just like, no. I even put a post on my Facebook club group where I was just like, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. It's been going so great. And I swear we get through like 75% of the book, I feel like, before you even start getting that miscommunication, but you knew it was going to happen. But I have to say, y'all, this author, like, she does miscommunication so well. And it was in such a less annoying way than some people do. And it did not drag on for pages and pages and pages and pages. It was a very, very small part of the book, and it did not happen for very long. So I was able to get through it. But that being said, my favorite romance trope is the fake dating. That is my absolute favorite. Usually they're hilarious. That's the reason why I like it. I like a romance book that's also funny, and I feel like the fake dating always is funny. An example of like a movie that I love that has like a fake dating, is it called The Wedding Date? I have not watched that movie in so long, but she hires somebody to be her date to go to her sister's wedding. It is hilarious. Like, I love fake dating. So you put that trope in a romance book, I will love that all day long. Let me know some names in the comments of some romance books that have fake dating in it. Let me know. I don't like super spicy romance though. I can do without that. But if it has a little bit, that's fine. But I don't like that to be the main theme of the book. But yeah, let me know some fake dating ones. But I love the characters. They were so sweet. I love the notes, passing letters and stuff back and forth. I loved that so much. And the story just really has so much depth to it for a romance novel. And just a good mixture of light-hearted, tender moments. But it also did deal with some really heavy topics. But it was all done super, super well. I mean, I laughed, I cried. I mean, you had all the feels, and I enjoyed every minute of this book. Book number 3, No Exit by Taylor Adams. My rating, 4 stars. Goodreads rating, 4.01 stars. This book can be found on Kindle Unlimited, at least at the time of this filming. This was the first Taylor Adams book that I read, but I have now read 2 of them. We'll talk about the second one next. So first off, what is this book about? A thriller about 4 strangers, a blizzard, a kidnapped child, and a determined young woman desperate to unmask and outwit a vicious psychopath. A kidnapped little girl locked in a stranger's van, no help for miles, what would you do? On her way to Utah to see her dying mother, college student Darby Thorne gets caught in a fierce blizzard in the mountains of Colorado. With the roads impassable, she is forced to wait out the storm at a remote highway rest stop. Inside are some vending machines, a coffee maker, and 4 complete strangers. Desperate to find a signal to call home, Darby goes back out into the storm and makes a horrifying discovery. In the back of the van, parked next to her car, a little girl is locked in an animal crate. Who is the child? Why has she been taken? And how can Darby save her? There is no cell phone reception, no telephone, and no way out. One of her fellow travelers is a kidnapper, but which one? Trapped in an increasingly dangerous situation with a child's life and her own on the line, Darby must find a way to break the girl out of the van and escape. But who can she trust? The book was action-packed right from the beginning, and I don't think there are any quiet moments at all in this book. Once I started, I really didn't want to stop. It was actually even hard to find a place to stop, so kind of like that Run on Red book that I read a few months ago, that's kind of the same way. For this book, I broke it down in pros and cons just because it was a little bit easier to kind of get my thoughts out. So pros. One thing, I love any book in a snowstorm. Like, that is one of my favorite thriller mystery novel settings, is a snowstorm. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because it's kind of like a locked door mystery, which I love locked door mysteries also. But like I already said, quick read, easy read, fast paced. The twists and turns were really good. The author did a really good job with the characters. You really hate the kidnappers. and you couldn't wait to see what happened to them. The cons, I really didn't care much for the main character. She kind of just annoyed me. I mean, she was super strong. She was a heroine, but I don't know, something about her, I just did not really like her that much. And most of the twists were pretty predictable. Like, I pretty much figured out most of them, which is one of the reasons why I gave it 4 stars, because if I figure out if I don't really get surprised, and really the thing that was a surprise was the kid in the back of the van. I mean, but also I did not like the ending. I just thought the ending was just not that great, and it just kind of fell flat, and I was just really disappointed by that. I guess this is a movie now, and I have not watched the movie, but that's what I heard. I heard that it was a movie. Number 4, The Last Word by Taylor Adams. My rating, 3 stars. A Goodreads rating, 3.75 stars. I did enjoy No Exit so much that I picked up this book by the same author. And this one I did audiobook, and I also got it from my library, so I was also reading it at the same time. But I had an Audible credit, so I got the Audible credit, but then I like to kind of read it sometimes too if the book is really good. And this is the one that my husband overheard me kind of listening to. Do the synopsis, and then we'll talk about my thoughts. Emma Carpenter lives in isolation with her golden retriever, Leica, house sitting in an old beachfront home on the rainy Washington coast. Her only human contact is her old neighbor, Deke, and via text, the house's owner, Jules. One day she reads a poorly written but gruesome horror novel by author H.D. Cain and posts a 1-star review that drags her into an online argument with none other than the author himself. Soon after disturbing incidents start to occur at night, to Emma, this can't be just a coincidence. It was strange enough for this author to bicker with her online about a lousy review. Could he be stalking her too? As Emma digs into Cain's life and work, she learns he has published 16 other novels, all similarly sadistic tales of stalking and murder. But who is he? How did he find her? And what else is he capable of? So again, like I said, I listened to this audiobook, and my husband would hear it, and he's like, did he get into the house yet? Did this happen? I mean, so he was interested, and I kind of wonder if I had continued listening to it on the audiobook, if I would have enjoyed it more. So as you already told by my rating, 3 stars. I didn't enjoy this one nearly as much, but I did feel like I enjoyed it more as the audiobook, but I wanted to finish it, and so I couldn't listen to it at night, so that's when I picked it up to read it because I do most of my reading at night. I had just listened to audiobook when I was cleaning house and just doing some stuff around the house and meal prepping and things like that. And so that's when I was listening to it on audiobook, but I wanted to read at night as well. And so I was kind of reading, that's when I finished it up. And I did not find it quite as interesting. So maybe it would be better as an audiobook. But here are kind of my thoughts again. I just broke it down again in pros and cons. I do enjoy the author's writing. I think he writes really, really well. I think he has good ideas. I love the plot of this. Like here author goes crazy over 1-star rating. Kind of ironic, when people read books and they put a rating down. I thought it was really fast-paced. It was action-packed, suspenseful. I love the dog. Speaking of the dog, cons. I didn't really like the plot around the dog. I felt it was unnecessary and honestly caused a lot of undue anxiety. Maybe that was what the author meant to do, because sometimes that was another reason why I wanted to pick up the book, because I could read faster than the audiobook. I know you can speed up the audiobook, which I do. I usually have my audiobooks at 1.5% or 1.5 times the speed, but I can still read faster. And so I was so interested in what was going to happen to this dog that I just kept reading, and then I just felt like it took away from the rest of the book. It was kind of annoying, and like I said, I'm a dog lover. It just gave me a lot of anxiety that didn't really need to happen. And the book just dragged on. I really do think I skimmed through the last 40% of the book, and I do wonder if it would have been better as an audiobook. Although, thinking back, even now as I'm talking about this, when my husband did keep asking questions, because I would pick it up and listen to it again, or he would be doing something and he'd come into the living room and he'd hear it and he's like, has he not in the house yet, or are they still fighting? Because some of that stuff dragged on. And so maybe, I think that was part of it. It just really dragged on, and it was pretty predictable. I really did figure out everything. So it was pretty predictable. But I also did not like the main character of this book. I did not like Emma. Like, and I didn't like the ending. I kind of feel like this author does not do the best with endings or main characters. They don't make you like care about them. I cared about the dog more than I cared about the main character. So I don't know. I would recommend this one, if not just anything, because I do feel like the plot was so super unique, and I do enjoy the author's writing. I do think that there was good twists and turns. I may have just figured them out because I read so many suspenseful thriller mystery books that I do figure out a lot of twists and turns and everything. But like I said, I do really enjoy the author, and I think he's a talented writer, so take that with what you will. I don't know how many other books he's written, but I will definitely pick up more books in the future. Number 5, Ask For Andrea by Noelle W. Ely. I think that's how you say that. My rating, 5 stars. Goodreads rating, 4.14 stars. You can find this book on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm pretty sure, I think she's the one that wrote that book I was just talking about before, the Run on Red book. I'm pretty sure that's the same author. I don't remember those kind of things. Love this book. Loved it, obviously, from 5-star rating. Let's kind of talk about what the book is about, and then we will discuss that. James Carson has gotten away with murder 3 times. The only thing that might stop him from killing again, the 3 women he murdered. He hunted them online, masquerading as an eligible bachelor. Then he played the perfect gentleman, a thick layer of charm and a 1,000-watt smile, hiding the fact that his dates end in shallow graves. What James doesn't know is that his 3 victims have found each other and that they are coming for him. I don't know how to say this girl's name. Brecca? I think it's Brecca. Megan and Sky might be dead, but they're not gone, and they won't rest until they find a way to keep him from killing again. The hunt is on. I only had read one other paranormal book, which we didn't know it was a paranormal book until so I don't want to ruin it for anybody by telling the name of it, but you didn't know it was a paranormal book until you got to that part of the twist. That's what made it the twist. So, can't really say that that I went into reading it because it was a paranormal book, because I typically don't think I would pick those up. I do watch like paranormal shows and stuff with my husband because he really, really enjoys watching those shows and documentaries and things like that about paranormal. But I never thought I would pick up a book purposely. And when I saw the synopsis, I was just so intrigued by it. Like, how are these women doing it? Like, they're going to haunt him, but in what way? And is it going to be cheesy? Like, I was just so afraid it was going to be super cheesy and just be like the, ooh, and I don't know. That's the part I was worried about going in. But, you know what? It sounded good, so I dived in. It was unlike anything I've ever read before. It was, like I said, it was so unique. And it came across so realistic and such like you're reading like a true crime, like I don't know, like article or something. Like it just read like a true crime like podcast, like you're listening to a podcast or telling you what happened, to these women and stuff. That's kind of how it read. It just seems so realistic. And I really, really rooted for these women. I mean, I found myself so attached to them, and the ghostly part of it was done so well. It was not cheesy. It was just, it really made you think. Like it really did. It really made you think. And it was done so well. Like I said, I was so attached to these characters. I cared about them even though they were dead. I cared about what happened to them later on. This book is fairly short. It's a really quick read. I think I read this in like one sitting plus a little bit extra the next day. Super good. Highly, highly recommend this one. Number 6, Keep It in the Family by John Mars. My rating, 4 stars. Goodreads rating, 4.14 stars. This was actually our book club book of the month read for January. I'm a huge John Mars fan. Huge. This was the 4th of his books that I've read, and I'm actually currently, at the time of filming this, I'm currently reading my 5th one. All of them have been between 3 to 4 stars, and 3 stars to me means the book was good. It just wasn't as memorable. But it's recommendable. Like I would recommend somebody a book that I rated 3 stars. But just sometimes it's just not as memorable. I thought it could be better, but it's definitely a 3-star rating. It's not going to keep me from reading other books from these authors. So let's go ahead and I wrote a whole post on this one on my book club, in my book club Facebook group, because this one just really got me. Like I said, I rated it 4 stars. I would say it's probably closer to 3.5 stars to 4, rounded up to 4 stars. But let me go and tell you the synopsis and we'll talk a little bit about it. Mia and Finn are busy turning a derelict house into their dream home when Mia unexpectedly falls pregnant. Just when they think the house is ready, Mia discovers a chilling message scored into a skirting board. I will save them from the attic. Following the clue up in the eaves, the couple make a gruesome discovery. Their dream home was once a house of horrors. In the wake of the traumatic discovery, the baby arrives and Mia can't shake her fixation with the monstrous crimes that happen right above them. Haunted by the terrible things she saw and desperate to find answers, her obsession pulls her even further from her husband. Secrecy shrouds the mystery of the attic, but when shards of a dark truth start to emerge, Mia realizes the danger is terrifyingly present. She is prepared to do anything to protect her family, but is it too late? So like I said, this was our book club pick for the month of January. This was definitely probably one of the most disturbing books I have read by this author. I don't think any of his other books have nearly this type of content in it. It was fast-paced, twisty, and as I just said, disturbing. There were parts of this that I didn't want to read due to the context, but the writing is just so good. He does such a good job. I would say, though, you guys know I was a huge Stephen King fan in high school and right out of my early 20s. I read just Stephen King book after Stephen King book. So I really feel like Stephen King and John Mars could be buddies because what the heck is going on in their heads? I mean, yeah. I found the narrative structure of this, though, the way it was written was so easy to follow. We got the perspective of all the main characters, including like an unknown character, which was so interesting. Each character was so complex, so realistic. And again, though, due to the content, it almost feels wrong to say I enjoyed this book. Like it just feels wrong. I don't really want to say much else because honestly, like if you've read this book, then you know what I'm talking about. And I just don't want to give away too much, but it is kind of disturbing. I did figure out the ending though, and the twist like long before, which is another reason why I was at 3.5 to 4 stars, because I did kind of figure it all out. But the writing is so good, and his writing structure is so good. It just really keeps the flow of the writing, and I just don't know if I like the content as much. The gruesome discovery is pretty disturbing. If I don't want to give out any spoilers, so if you want to know more about this book and you're not going to plan on reading it, so you want to go spoil it for yourself, go on Goodreads, read some of the spoiler reviews, and you'll see what I'm talking about. 7, First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. My rating 5 stars, Goodreads rating 4.25 stars. I actually saw somebody over on one of the booktube channels that I watch over on YouTube, and they had talked about this book a couple months ago that it was coming out. Apparently this Ashley Elston used to be a young adult writer, and this was her first like adult book. I had never heard of her before as a young adult writer, but anyway, I had knew about this, so I went and I reserved it as soon as I could, and I was able to get it pretty quickly. So I picked it up. So let me go ahead and tell you what it's about, and then we'll talk about my thoughts. Evie Porter has everything a nice Southern girl would want. A perfect doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence, and a garden, a fancy group of friends. The only catch, Evie Porter doesn't exist. The identity comes first, Evie Porter. Once she's given a name and a location by her mysterious boss, Mr. Smith, she learns everything there is to know about the town and the people in it. Then the mark, Ryan Sumner. The last piece of the puzzle is the job. Evie isn't privy to Mr. Smith's real identity, but she knows this job will be different. Ryan has gotten under her skin, and she's starting to envision a different sort of life for herself, but Evie can't make any mistakes, especially after what happened last time. Because the one thing she's worked her entire life to keep clean, the one identity she could always go back to, her real identity, just walked right into this town. Evie Porter must stay one step ahead of her past, while making sure there's still a future in front of her. The stakes couldn't be higher, but then Evie has always liked a challenge. I absolutely loved the plot of this book. It was so good. It was very unique. I mean, think about it. She's given a job, she's given a mark, and then she finds out what the job, or she's given an identity, then the mark, and she finds out what the job is supposed to be. I really enjoyed the dual timeline of this book. I went back and I was so I did not read any reviews, like I said. But I always go back after I read to go read reviews just to see what people think about it. a lot of people felt like this book was really complex, and they did not like the way that the book would go back. So basically, we already know from the synopsis that she gets her identity, then she gets her mark. So the way this book does, it's a dual timeline where we go, she you know, we're in the current time, and then she goes back and she's like sharing like one of her other identities and her other marks and jobs and what she had to do. So we're seeing that. We're seeing like her job life and her current life, and you're going back, and that's what kind of leads you up to who she is, the person she is today, and how. Then we also go back to her past, to how she got to this part that she's at today. So it's just really interesting. I loved the dual timeline thing. I loved the, you know, going back and seeing the other jobs that she did. It was just so interesting. Like I said, it was such a good plot. I just never saw anything like this before. And honestly, like, there was a big twist in the middle of the book, which we kind of got a hint of it in the synopsis, but I still did not see it coming. Like, I did not see it coming at all. Totally got me. Now, the book, again, towards the end, it does get a little complex, and you really kind of have to pay attention. And it's not like a lot of thrillers and suspense novels that you just, you know, you can just read and just, you know, you're just going towards the end, there's a killer, or you're wrapping up the mystery. This one is not really like that. It is a super complex. It's more suspenseful and kind of mystery than like a thriller type book. But like I said, it just gets a little complex. But the only thing negative I have to say, though, I think, are the characters. Like, I really wanted more. Like, I felt like we got to know Evie really well, kind of. Like, I really thought that they could have been a little bit more developed, her and Ryan both. But really enjoyed this book. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Last book that we're going to talk about, again, because those two novellas that I read, like I said, we're going to push those to February. So the last book that I read was Her Deadly Game by Robert Dugoni. My rating 5 stars, Goodreads rating 4.45 stars. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. I have read 2 other books by this author. This book is about Kira Duggan. Kira Duggan was building a solid reputation as a Seattle prosecutor until her romantic relationship with a senior colleague ended badly. For the competitive former chess prodigy returning to her family's failing criminal defense law firm to work for her father is the best shot she has. With the right move, she hopes to restore the family's reputation, her relationship with her father, and her career. Kira's chance to play in the big leagues comes when she's retained by Vince LaRussa, an investment advisor accused of murdering his wealthy wife. There's little hard evidence against him, but considering the couple's impending and potentially nasty divorce, LaRussa faces life in prison. Prosecutor is equally challenging Miller Ambrose, Kira's former lover, who's eager to destroy her in court on her first homicide defense. As Kira and her team follow the evidence, they uncover a complicated and deadly game that's more than Kira bargained for. When shocking information turns the case upside down, Kira must decide between her duty to her client, her family's legacy, and her own future. So this is a legal thriller with courtroom drama, family drama, whodunit, how did they do it, and it's kind of all mixed in. So the ending was so unexpected. What we find out about one of the characters, kind of one of the main characters, but not like Kira or her family, but what we find out, it totally blindsided me. Like, I did not see it coming at all. I feel like Robert Dugoni is really up there with John Grisham when it comes to the legal crime courtroom, things like that. Like, I love John Grisham books. I love all of his movies. I am a huge fan of legal police procedural books. This one, so good. Really, really good. I do think this is going to be part of a series, and this because it said number 1 when I went on Goodreads to get the Goodreads rating. I noticed it said number 1, which I hadn't noticed that before. So apparently this is going to be part of a series, which I am there for, really, really there for. The only part of this book that was really over my head that I kind of skimmed over just a little bit was the chess talk. They do talk about chess a lot. Obviously, I'm assuming this author plays chess because, unless the stuff he was writing wasn't real, I don't know. But it went right over my head. I know absolutely nothing about chess. The other 2 books that I've read from this author were part of the Tracy Crosswhite series. And I've read the first 2 of that. And I don't know why I did not finish reading them. Because I think there's like 6, 7 or maybe even more, but this book reminded me I need to go back and read some more of those books. I believe they're all over on Kindle Unlimited. So anyway, let me know if you've read Robert Dugoni. I do think he's a really good author, especially if you, like I said, if you like legal thrillers, police procedural, courtroom, all of that. Highly recommend this book. And those are all the books that I read in the month of January. I am so glad to be back to making book review videos. I think I did them back in December as well and the month before, but I want to make sure I'm doing them every month because reading is a big goal of mine for this year, as it always is. So it was a really good reading month. Good mixture of, we had mystery, we had romance, we had legal thrillers. I felt like I had a really good mixture this month. I'm going to try to do the same thing for February. Like I said, I am right now getting ready to finish my first book, and we are on February 3rd. I felt like in January I had a really big first couple weeks of the month because I was sick, and so I read a lot. This month I'm getting a little bit slower, but we'll get there. And my goal every month is to try to read 4 to 5 books every month because I do work full time. So I try to read as much as I can. But 8 books in the first month of the year, starting out strong. Let me know what your favorite books that you read in the month of January were. What are you looking forward to reading? Have you read any of these? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.